when our children are ill. Luckily, the illness most often is one we can deal with, like a cold or a cough, or a tummy upset. If the illness is something more severe, such as an appendicitis, with the help of our GP and local hospital, we manage to cope with this quite well too. This time, the problem was not too easy to deal with. You may have taken your child to the GP with puffy eyes and swollen ankles, and instead of being told it was caused by something you recognise, you were told that the problem was something called nephrotic syndrome. Most people have never heard of it, as it's quite rare. It affects approximately one child in every 50,000, but it's more common in Asian children, and it affects more boys than girls. We have a good idea of what is happening in the kidneys with nephrotic syndrome, but we still don't know the exact cause. The good news is that although it may be a chronic condition, children usually grow out of it by the time they're in their teens, and it's very rarely life-threatening. The bad news is that, like all chronic conditions, it needs lots of help on your part to keep your child well and active. Let's look at what happens to the body in nephrotic syndrome. The kidneys normally filter excess water and wastes, but they do not usually leak protein into the urine. In nephrotic syndrome, the kidneys leak large amounts of protein, particularly one called albumin. This leads to low protein levels in the blood, and as the proteins in the blood help to hold water within the blood vessels, the water leaks out into the tissues, causing the tissues to swell. The limbs and body have a swollen appearance, and this we refer to as edema. What is the treatment for nephrotic syndrome? After your child has been diagnosed, he or she will stay in hospital until the swelling and the edema has disappeared. The treatment will include careful assessment of the amount of fluid that your child drinks while they still have edema. Water tablets or diuretics may be given to help control the fluid build-up in the body. Dietary advice will be given and steroid medication will be started. The steroid medication that is given is prednisolone. This is a corticosteroid, usually given orally as tablets, and is not an anabolic steroid, such as those abused by some athletes. Most children respond to corticosteroids in 2 to 3 weeks, when the kidneys stop leaking protein. When the urine has been free of any protein for 3 days, we call this remission. When your child is in remission, there is usually rapid loss of the edema, and fluid restriction and water tablets can be stopped. Prednisolone is usually given every day until your child's urine has been free of protein for 3 days, and then every other day for 1 month. Is there a special diet? While your child is in hospital and we are waiting for a response to steroids, you will have an opportunity to meet the dietitian. A healthy eating diet, ideally enjoyed by all the family, will be recommended. This will include making sure that there is not too much salt in the diet and it is well balanced. To keep your child well means that we all have to work together, and your help is an important part of this. Don't worry, you will get lots of help yourself and be trained in what you have to do. Keeping a record of your child's progress and urine tests for protein is an essential part of monitoring how your child is responding to treatment. One of the things you need to do at home is test your child's first morning urine for protein using urine testing sticks. The results need to be written in a special diary each day with a note of the given dosage of prednisolone and any other medication your child is taking, so that the doctor has a daily record to look at. It's also useful to write down any other comments that might be significant, such as coughs, colds, or feeling unwell. Such information is very important when decisions are being made about continued treatment, and writing it down makes sure nothing is forgotten. Here is an example of how your diary might look. Before you go home, you will be given a steroid warning card, which is available from the pharmacist. The card tells others that your child has recently been or is still on steroids. This is important information if your child needs medical or dental treatment. If you wish, you can also buy a Medic Alert bracelet or pendant for your child. While at home, you will be offered a visit from the community nurse. This will give you an opportunity to review your child's progress and for further explanations of some of the issues you may be unsure about. Your child should not have immunisation until he or she has been off steroids for 3 months. And if your child is in close contact with chickenpox, shingles or measles and has not had these infections, then you must tell your doctor straight away. Most children with nephrotic syndrome will have a relapse, by which we mean a large amount of protein in the urine for at least 3 days. A relapse can be brought on by infections such as colds and coughs. You will need to contact your doctor when a relapse occurs, as it is likely that further steroid treatment will be required.
Wait. I just put this here.
Visits to the hospital clinic are necessary so that the consultant or their deputy can see how things are progressing. If your child remains in remission, then the visits need not be frequent. It is a good tip to write down any questions you might need answering by the specialist staff and take the list along with you to the clinic. You may also have an opportunity to meet the dietitian again, and a social worker may be available for advice and support. Children are encouraged to return to playgroup, nursery or school as soon as they are well and free from edema. They should continue to participate in sports, in and out of school. We do worry about children on steroid medications if they catch measles or chickenpox. It may be useful to speak to the school about this, and in some instances display a notice in the playgroup. Holidays are possible unless your child is having complications. Usually the course of prednisolone is very short, but prednisolone can cause decreased resistance to coughs and colds, increase in appetite which may cause weight gain, plus swollen cheeks and stretch marks on the skin, or a rise in blood pressure. This will be monitored in the clinic and at home. Mood changes and behavioural problems can be quite noticeable in children on high-dose steroids. Long-term steroids can also impair growth and very rarely may give early cataracts in the eyes. Although it's useful for you to know about these side effects, you have no need to worry, as these points will be very carefully checked in the clinic.
Wonderfully well. Never had a child do that before.
Fortunately, most children with nephrotic syndrome have only occasional relapses and respond to steroids quite quickly. Such children are not at risk of kidney failure, and it is very rare that this disease will affect other children in the family. However, there are a few children where it is not certain that they have the ordinary type of nephrotic syndrome and who do not respond to a month's daily course of steroids. It is in such children that we consider a renal biopsy and alternative treatment, such as cyclophosphamide, levamisole, or cyclosporin. Don't worry about these drugs, as if it is necessary, your kidney specialist will explain the reasons for biopsy and the need for other medications. Some hospitals have a parents group where you can meet with other families and share your problems and your solutions. It may also be possible for you to link to one particular family whose child is of a similar age to yours and whose nephrotic syndrome is following a similar pattern. This could be particularly beneficial to an older child's morale. If you have any worries or questions, however small, please ask. The staff will attempt to give you an answer, and more information is contained in the booklet on nephrotic syndrome. Nephrotic syndrome can be a nuisance and a worry, but at least you can be pretty sure that if your child has the ordinary steroid responsive type, then they will eventually grow out of it. With plenty of care and attention from all of us, they should, in the meantime, remain healthy.